have no words for this, honestly. I genuinely do not have words for this. I was just as just as excited about this game as you were. Obviously, you were more excited, though, because you're an Eagles fan. I understand that. But, even as a outsider, I was very interested. NFC Championship rematch. The two teams do not like each other. I mean, heck, the 49ers walked into the stadium wearing all black to send a statement, and we got everything with Greenlaw and the security guard later in the game.
Big Dom.
Which was weird. But the 49ers just put the absolute smackdown on the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, Deebo Samuel was running up and down the Eagles defense. I wouldn't be surprised if he's scoring another touchdown as we speak. I genuinely don't know how to describe it. It was, when I look at it, I wouldn't say the 49ers won because of Brock Purdy. It was everybody else around him. It was George Kittle. It was Deebo Samuel. It was Christian McCaffrey. It was Chase Young, Nick Bosa, and the rest of the defense. When the 49ers are fully healthy, they are the best team in the NFL. Honestly, as a Browns fan, I have no idea how we beat them in week 5. Even if we miss the playoffs, I can still say, hey, we beat the 49ers, which the Eagles and Cowboys cannot say. Both teams got 42 points hung on them. I think the last touchdown the 49ers gave up to your Eagles was just kind of a, hey, we'll give you a touchdown. We'll let you guys feel good about yourselves. We won't allow this beatdown to be as bad. But, yeah, San Francisco sent a message that was heard loud and clear.
I thought you would come in with more energy today. I'm a little bit surprised of your lack of energy on this topic. So I'm going to give you once again, as I always do, as I always speak the truth, what really happened in this game.
Did I not speak the truth, though?
No, because you didn't come with the energy and passion that you should have came, because I'm going to tell you exactly what happened in this game.
You got your ass kicked.
The Philadelphia Eagles, that's what I wanted to hear from you. That's what I wanted. I wanted to hear that energy. Not, I don't know what just tell it how it is, Josh. Let it rip.
Fine, so fine, straight up. You got your ass kicked.
Don't be conservative. Tell me I got my ass kicked, because that's what I want to hear. Because I'm going to
42 points.
I'm going
to tell you. Do I need to say anything else?
What happened in this game? Do you know my corners, James Bradbury and Darius Slay, got targeted in this game a total of 3 times. Darius Slay 3, James Bradbury, who Deebo Samuel called trash all week, got 0 targets thrown at him in this game. What did that tell you? The San Francisco 49ers absolutely worked the middle of my defense. And the Philadelphia Eagles, which have tackled pretty well this year, have the worst tackling performance they have had since I've been a fan for the last 20 years. Could not get Deebo Samuel on the ground. They could not get Christian McCaffrey on the ground. They could not get George Kittle on the ground. And Christian McCaffrey every single time ran left, right at Trent Williams, who had the best game of his career. Did not allow a pressure, did not allow anything. Josh Sweat, bullied. When Hassan Reddick would go to that side, bullied. Brandon Graham, bullied. They could not get by Trent Williams. When the Eagles defense allowed -6 yards in the first quarter, it was because Hassan Reddick took care of the right side. Once they figured out Trent Williams could lock down the left side, they shifted the line right. They double-teamed the rest of the defensive line, and it was working the middle of the field against the Eagles linebacker. Zach Cunningham did not play in this game. He was hurt. Nakobe Dean, we know he's been hurt. So you're down to Anthony Moreau and Christian Ellis, who both got absolutely worked. And I said going in, my biggest fear of this game was the Niners were coming off a 10-day rest period, and the Eagles played 3 straight if you want to include the Dallas game, emotional ball games. Cowboys at home, emotional game that came down to the final seconds. At Kansas City, Super Bowl rematch, emotional game that came down to the final seconds. Buffalo at home, defense on the field for 92 plays. I said going in, San Francisco had the advantage. I said going into the Eagles, we're going to win the game, and it had to be very close. They had to put on a great defensive performance. But I saw enough offensively where, yes, they only put up 19 points. But I think there's going to be a lesson learned here from new offensive coordinator Brian Johnson. That is, they have to stick with the run. They kind of gave up on the run uncharacteristically too early. And I think once they were down 21-6, they didn't want to stick to the run. When I kept saying they had to stick to the run, I thought that was a bad decision. Overall, I didn't think the offense played well. I think there was a lot of pressure on the offense because the defense just could not stop San Francisco. But we've seen in the past that when two great teams play each other, it's really hard to beat a team a second time. And I still believe, and I'm not saying this as a fan, I'm saying this with my football head. The Philadelphia Eagles right now still have the path to get the number one seed in the
No, they don't. No,
yes,
they do.
do. How?
Nope.
We're a game up on San Francisco. How are we not there? How? We control our own destiny. Nobody else controls our own destiny.
We'll get to the reason why in a couple minutes because
I just said a fact. I literally just said a fact. The Philadelphia Eagles still have control of the number one seed in the NFC. They're gonna get the number one seed in the NFC. And San Francisco, yes, we will. And oh yeah, like the Seahawks are gonna win the division. Remember that take from Josh Ungar a month ago? That take is dead because Seattle's not even gonna make the playoffs. Anyway,
at this point, you're right.
The Philadelphia Eagles are still going to get that number one seed.
No, they're not. San Francisco. You got Dallas. This week.
We're going to beat the Dallas Cowboys. What do you want to put on it, Josh?
No, I'm not a gambler.
Here you go. No, you know why? Because you're scared.
I should have put money on the San Francisco game. I really should have.
I told you that's the game we're probably going to lose. Did I not say last week? I'm only thinking we win because of my heart. I told you, I knew going in this was a possibility. And I'm telling you right now, we're going to bounce back. We're going to beat Dallas in a very close game.
All right, fine. Let's just get to it right now. The two teams, Philadelphia, Dallas, one of the best rivalries in all of the NFL. NFC East on the line, possibly. Number one seed in the NFC on the line. It's all going down on Sunday, deep in the heart of Texas at Jerry's World.
We're going to piss on that star and we're going to win the game. Go on, Josh.
Okay. You go from one leading candidate for MVP, Brock Purdy. Not my words. Those are what the new MVP odds are saying in Vegas and what all the talking heads are saying. To another MVP candidate, Dak Prescott. But here's my issue with the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, they've been putting up big scores. But who have they been doing it against? Seattle. They fell off the face of the earth and completely ruined my take about them. Carolina, Washington. I'm trying to think of some of the other opponents.
The Giants twice.
Yes, the Giants twice. Like
New England earlier in the year.
Yes, but like they've been putting up like 40s, 30s, and I'm like, that's great, but what happened when you went on the road and played at San Francisco? You got beat down worse than the Eagles did, 42-10. And what happened when you went to Philadelphia back in week 9? You came up literally like a couple inches short of beating the Eagles.
Well, that's because Dak always plays well against Philadelphia. Dak will continue to play well against Philadelphia. This is going to be a ball control game. This is going to be who has the ball last. Philly has not won in Dallas since 2017. By the way, what happened in 2017? Gee, I don't know. Nick Foles only owed him a Lombardi trophy at the end of that season. The
Yes.
Philadelphia Eagles had not swept the Dallas Cowboys since 2011. That was the year the Eagles started 4-8. They finished 8-8. That was Andy Reid's second to last year. Never forget, we won that game on Christmas Eve when the NFC East was terrible, and that was the year the Giants won it. And then they went up and beat Brady in the second Giants-Patriots Super Bowl 46. But nonetheless, this is a year the Philadelphia Eagles go into Dallas. They win it by about a 36-33. I think it's going to be a really high-scoring game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of punts in this game. Dallas, in the second half of that Philly game, did not stop the Eagles. The Eagles, once they figured out the scheme against Dallas, we know sometimes it takes Philly a couple drives to get their stuff going. Once they figured out the scheme against Dallas, A.J. Brown had a day, Devontae Smith had a day. And maybe the most important factor back for this Eagles offense in this game, number 88, Dallas Goedert, named after his dad, who was a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. That's a fact. Look it up. Dallas Goedert is going to have a big game in this game coming back. The Eagles have heard all this talk about how they're trash. They're not very good. They've been overrated all year, yada, 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 yada.
And I don't agree with any of those takes at all.
We prove once again why we do have our own destiny for the number one seed. After this game, I already told you, at Seattle scares me to death. I don't care what Seattle does. I already told you, Seattle's our house of horrors. I don't remember ever winning in Seattle in my lifetime. But after that, you got the Giants twice and Arizona, who's frisky, but they're not better than Philly. We should win those last 3 games. So it really comes down to, can Philly win these 2 games at Dallas, at Seattle? I believe they can. Will they probably lose one? Yes. Now, this is where I will disagree with you. A little bit off topic, but I still believe they will get the number 1 seed, even if they lose one game, because I have San Francisco losing one game down the stretch. And that game is on Christmas when they take on the Baltimore Ravens, because Lamar Jackson just does not lose to NFC teams.
Okay. So here's the thing. The NFC East has not had a repeat division winner in, God, I don't know how many years. It feels like every year there's a new team winning the division. It's
ever since 2004. The last team to do was the Eagles in 2004.
And I don't see that trend stopping this season. I think as much as the Eagles have been playing well, like we were saying last week, they've been in, and you were just saying it earlier, they've been involved in a ton of these close, emotional, mentally draining games lately. Dallas, Kansas City, Buffalo, San Francisco. I know that game wasn't close, but you had all the hype and all the hoopla and stuff, and you get my point there. But here's the thing. You were talking about how San Francisco had like 10 days of rest or whatever going into.
So does Dallas.
Bingo. Dallas has rest. Philadelphia does not.
But what we have is motivation, which we didn't have out of San Francisco. I told you it was very similar to Philadelphia and Kansas City, where Philadelphia had the motivation after the Super Bowl. San Francisco had the pressure on them more than Philly, because we all knew going into the game that if the Niners lost, the number 1 seed for the NFC is wrapped up. I can also make this argument in this game that Dallas has more pressure on them because of their schedule coming up. They're not going to win at Buffalo. I told you that 2 weeks ago. I don't care what happens in this game with Kansas City. The way Buffalo's been playing the last couple of weeks, they can beat Dallas in Orchard Park. I also don't think, as long as Tua stays healthy, they can go into Miami. I don't think they can go in Miami and win that game. So I think no matter the result of this game, Philly will win the division. This is a bigger game for the Eagles in terms of the number 1 seed.
And you know what? I hear you on that. But if Dallas wins, they are tied.
But I just told you, Dallas is going to lose at least 2 more games. Philly's only going to lose at maximum 1 more game. Even if they lose to Dallas, I think they'll break the streak in Seattle. If they beat Dallas here, could they lose to Seattle? Yes, though I think, we'll see how Seattle plays. Again, Seattle scares me to death. It's my house of horrors. I don't know. Maybe Jalen Hurts breaks the curse. I don't know. It's something in my voodoo, though, about going up to Lumen Field or them coming to Lincoln Financial Field. But I will bet you right here, right now, Dallas does not win the division.
So you think Philadelphia breaks the streak?
Philly's going to win the division, Josh, even if they're tied. And by the way, Philly would have the better conference record because Dallas is going to lose here a couple of these games. So
I'll tell you what. If they do end up tied, that Arizona game that Dallas lost earlier this season is going to come back to bite them in the ass.
Well,
100%.
And obviously the Philly game, they watched the Jets and Zach Wilson. I mean, the San Francisco game was the first time in 2 freaking years since the Eagles lost to Tampa in that wild card game that somebody actually physically beat the Eagles. The Washington game, Jalen Hurts turned the ball over 4 times. You beat yourself there. The Dallas game, the Christmas Eve game, Jalen Hurts didn't play. I should say it's the first time in a couple of years they got beat with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts didn't play. Gardner Minshew played. Same thing with the Saints game. Gardner Minshew played. Jalen Hurts did not. And we all know what happened in the Super Bowl. And I will say this forever. If Jalen Hurts get that ball back, I'm still convinced we win that Super Bowl. Who knows in that situation? But it would have been a 6-point game with 1:30 left and 1 timeout. So that was the first time in 2 years somebody came in and actually beat the Eagles. That's why I think Philly bounces back and they will beat Dallas. Very, very close game on Sunday Night Football.
If I were an Eagles fan, I'd be genuinely concerned going into this game. Not just because Dallas has the rest going for them, but Dallas is going to watch the film of what San Francisco did, and I bet you, even with the addition of Shaq Leonard, which is a big deal for Philadelphia, Dallas is still going to attack the middle of the field with the likes of CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Brandon Cooks, and they will take advantage of that. Dallas wants...
Dallas is going to move the ball. I never denied that. But you know why? We're never concerned as Eagles fans because I tell you going in, Dallas and San Francisco are about the only 2 teams in the league that can match up with us on the offensive and defensive lines. I think we're right there with San Francisco, and I think we're a little bit better than Dallas on the offensive line. You go in with one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL with Jalen Hurts, 2 of the best wide receivers in the league, a top 5 tight end, best offensive line, best defensive line, good corners. There's nothing to go in to be concerned about outside of, again, will we turn the football over?
Okay, let's get to this super quick. What do you think the addition of Shaq Leonard means for the Eagles?
I think not only will Shaq Leonard play, he might start on Sunday against Dallas. That's how banged up they are in the linebacking room. I think Shaq Leonard will bring a veteran presence. He knows Nick Sirianni, and a lot of those coaches that were with him in Indy are now here in Philly. I think Shaq Leonard will help that linebacking room at least till Dean and Zach Cunningham get back. After that, I don't know how much he'll play.